And hello, everyone, and welcome to the Copyright 2.0 show, episode number 341. One away from the big day, so to speak. My name is Jonathan Bailey. I'm from the site Plagiarism Today, which can be found at plagiarismtoday.com. And joining me for his next to his last episode on the podcast, the face you have all come to know and love, Patrick O'Keefe of the iFroggy Network at iFroggy.com. Patrick, feels like it's been a whole week since I've seen you.
Well, it has been.
Well, that'd be a good reason.
So your body is working.
Indeed, my internal clock is ticking correctly. How have you been?
1 week closer to death.
Oh, starting with an existential crisis this week, are we, Patrick?
Yeah, every you get older. I'm feeling it. You have less time to do what you want to do. So got to get going.
Always got.
It's a real uplifting note.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Good night, everybody. Podcast over. Now that we're all depressed, let's just go cry in the corner for a bit.
Yeah, but I'm doing fine. How are you?
Doing good. Haunt work has started in earnest here.
Okay.
We've been dabbling with it year round. It's one of those things you kind of pick at it here and there, but now it's like dedicated so many hours per night from now until Halloween. Yeah, we've started in work in earnest. We've actually got the haunt pretty much cleaned out. We've got the theme pick, we've got the plan, the design, and we're just knocking out the projects. We're kind of fortunate this year. We don't have anything major we're doing as far as construction. Because, we're not rearranging the walls. We're redecorating the room, relaying everything out, so it'll look significantly different and will feel significantly different, and you will still have a different path.
Right.
But we're not moving the actual walls around, so we're not essentially building a new haunt. So that saves us a lot of time.
Okay.
It's one of those things. You can do a major reconstruction of it and it not look any different, or you can, do a sort of a remodeling of what you have and make it look significantly different. So it's all on how you use what you got.
Yeah, I mean, it's understandable. You're getting old, and you can't really do all the stuff you used to be able to do. So I think now you just keep the same shape and just change the pictures on the wall.
Oh, man, you are one dark dude today, Patrick.
Sorry. No, that sounds good. Are you ready to reveal anything about it, like theme, or is that a secret until is there a big reveal?
We're announcing the theme formally tomorrow, but since we don't have anyone in the chat yet that doesn't already know, I'm assuming I'm gonna just let it slip that we're doing a Mardi Gras theme this year. We're actually focusing on a Mardi Gras massacre type of
theme,
where it's gonna. I know. Well, the realization hit us. We've lived in New Orleans. We've done a New Orleans themed haunt. This will be our 8th year. We've done it.
Right.
And we've never done anything remotely Mardi Gras-ish. And, we talked about it with some of the actors and some of the people, and it just sounded like a fun idea. And plus, it's finally a chance to put some of the random Mardi Gras beads and other crap we have sitting in this house to good use and, possibly get rid of some of it.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, that's one way to look at it. Use the stuff around you, so... Next year you'll do the haunted IT center or something.
Yeah, well, I've got enough monitors I've got enough monitors and computer shells to pull that one off quite nicely if the time comes. So yes, you never know. There may be a haunted IT center.
I'm sure they can come with a better idea using computer stuff than the IT center.
I'm sure I could too. The virtual reality flash or something. I don't know. Yeah, but something computer oriented could happen.
You could do a library like Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
I don't know. I've never used a computer at the library. Except I've used a computer at the library to, the one they have, so my libraries have one that you look up books, and then they have computers that you can use to surf the internet. I've never used one of the internet ones before.
Yeah, I've only used them in moments of extreme desperation. There have been a couple of times I've been traveling, and I was on foot, and I did not have my laptop or reliable internet access at my disposal or whatever, and I popped into a library just to look up something really fast. But, seriously, intentionally long-term use, no, that hasn't happened. That being said, I've spent far more time on library Wi-Fi.
Right, yeah.
If you visit Crystal's parents in the rural upstate of Louisiana, the only place you can get broadband internet reliably is to go to the public library. And they're very nice. They keep it on 24/7, even when the library's closed. So you can show up late at night, park in front of it, and then surf the web. And they even have a little sign saying they do it on purpose. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's a good place to rob people.
Yeah, exactly. It's such a quiet town.
Continuing my string of positive remarks.
It's such a small town, though. You'd probably know who robbed you.
Could probably get away with it easier. There you go. Yeah, just breeze into town like a drifter like me, for example. Breeze into town, park in front of the library, hit up a few internet surfers, and breeze right back out of town.
If you drift into Montgomery, Louisiana, you have made some huge, poor life decisions. You need a reason to go to that town. Just saying, personally.
Montgomery. I've heard of Montgomery.
Louisiana. Alabama. You don't know Montgomery, Louisiana, which is literally the next town over from Atlanta, Louisiana. I wish I were making this part up.
It's Hollywood, Louisiana.
And actually, they're just down the road from Baghdad, Louisiana. I'm not making any of this up.
Yeah, I typed in Montgomery. Sorry for the sound. I typed in Montgomery, Louisiana into Google Maps, and it shows me I think that this red grid is Montgomery. It is pretty small. Only one landmark pops up. It's the Bank of Montgomery.
That's not a... I forget there's actually a bank called the Bank of Montgomery. I forget that. Yeah, that's probably... The other quote-unquote landmark is there is a historical cemetery nearby, and it actually is a really nice cemetery. But yeah, dead people probably outnumber live ones because of the cemetery, and that should worry people. Just saying.
That's funny.
But so anything else going on? Anything going on for you?
No, this is this is the second to last show we're gonna do together here on the Copyright 2.0 show. So there's that.
And I wish, as you say that I had a more firm announcement for you, but I unfortunately don't this week. And the reason is the direction it looks like we're going with the show, starting the 17th of September, or starting somewhere thereabouts, is we are going to have... See, the basic attitude is I don't think any one person can fill your shoes, Patrick. I don't think it can happen.
This is called positive spin. Continue.
Yes, it is. So what we're going to do, I'm in talks with several people. We're going to have a rotating co-host position. It's going to be different people each week, and some weeks it may be 3 people on the show, some weeks it may be 2. I'll be the only permanent fixture here on the show. And basically it will not be just us 2 idiots jabbering back and forth. There will be perchance people that are actually smart on this show and can actually bring insight to what's going on, unlike the 2 of us. So it's a really exciting idea. I'm really looking forward to it. But since I don't have an idea of who's going to be on when yet, and I don't have a 100% confirmation from when people can do this, I don't want to throw names out yet because that's kind of rude. I hope to have an idea of the 17th. However, I have to warn, due to the complexities of trying to schedule all this, we may skip the show on the 17th and move straight to the 24th, just so that way we can start off live and kicking. But cool. Yeah, so it's going to be cool. It's going to be really good. I'm really excited about it. Some of these people I know really well and we've worked with for weeks, and I've been working for about 6 weeks to make this happen. So it's definitely not been lack of effort and lack of time, but so I'm really excited about this new approach. I think it could be very exciting to make it very different from week to week, and it's going to be interesting. We could get some very different viewpoints and really turn this into a different type of show. But it's just like I said, I knew we would never replace Patrick O'Keefe, but maybe by going a different direction we can do something almost as awesome. I don't think we'll ever excel the awesomeness of Patrick O'Keefe. I don't think that's possible. But something approaching is what I'm hoping. In the ballpark.
Okay, thank you.
Sport.
Thank you. No, I think you'll find what works for you, and it'll work out. I think there's the pros and cons to everything. I think the pro of having a long-term host is you build a rapport, and there's this sort of back and forth that develops where you get to get used to each other and how you speak, and you have a sense of when the other person will want to jump in or when they want to speak, and so you build that relationship.
I'm not even
on the other hand,
there's no reporting.
And on the other hand, having a rotating cast of hosts, like you said, will bring different viewpoints and bring have a different vibe to this show, different flavor to the show. So it'll be more variety, and it'll be good to see as well. So I'm sure it'll be good.
And the other good thing about having someone who's been stable and long-term like you has been ease of scheduling and ease of preparation.
Yep.
We occasionally have scheduling conflicts. One of us is at a conference. One of us is doing something else. Stuff comes up. But typically speaking, most weeks it's just I prepare show notes Wednesday, sometime before noon-ish my time, about 1 p.m. yours, and send it out to you, and then just trust that you'll have at least skimmed them. And we do the podcast 4 hours later, and that's really the extent of the effort. This is going to require a lot more effort and a lot more commitment from me. Like I said, and that's one of the things I'm learning over the past 6 weeks, is just how difficult it is. That being said, if there is anyone out there who is interested in being part of this rotating cycle of hosts, there's no long-term commitment here. It could be a one-off. It could be a monthly thing, a bi-weekly thing. I don't know. We're trying to get a feel for what everyone's up for. That's what's going on. Send me an email. Let me know, Jonathan@plagiarismtoday.com. Let me know what you're wanting to do, and I'd be interested to hear from you. Don't think that you have to do it by the 17th or I'll never talk to you. Believe me, this is going to be an ongoing process for the duration of the podcast, I'm sure.
That sounds a little final.
Yeah. It's an acknowledgement.
Maybe you'll find someone.
Maybe I will, and that's a possibility.
Maybe you'll find someone during this process where you'll decide, we should do this all the time.
It could be like Highlander. We could start with like 4 people, and they could just battle it out until only one remains, and that man or woman is the person. It could happen,
Yep.
Totally could happen, and then they'll make a movie about it, and then a TV series, and then they'll go back to the movie format because that was necessary. Okay, sorry, Highlander rant over. At least it wasn't a Doctor Who reference. We could have been in real trouble. Doctor Who or Star Trek, we could have been in real danger. No, I'm excited about it. I'm looking forward to it, but I am still very sad to see you go. And on that note, just a reminder for everyone, next week, episode 342 is Patrick's final week, so come by, join us in the chat, say goodbye, join the greats, and like I said, we'd love to have you and love to make the show a special one.
Definitely. So look forward to that, and thank you, Jonathan.
You look forward to leaving. You're looking forward to being gone.
No, I'm not looking forward to it. I'm not looking forward to it, and I am looking forward to it because everything comes to an end, and that's bittersweet. But just the way it goes sometimes. But before we get started, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
The question is, what are you going to do with all of this new free time?
Yeah, it's about 3 hours a week. I figured out.
Build your empire?
Hopefully something like that. I don't know. Build my empire of LA Noir, but no, I'm just kidding. But it all adds up. Anyway, before we get started, I wanted to mention that me, Sean, Trent, my brothers, we watched the Angry Video Game Nerd movie last night.
Oh, how was it?
It was good. I don't want to say anything about it necessarily, but I think you gotta check it out when you get a chance, as you're a fan of the nerd, as we are, as well.
Yeah, I knew it was due out on digital release. I think it just came out on digital release.
Yesterday, you can get it at Vimeo.com/ondemand/AVGN. And
also on iTunes.
They have a rental for. Is it? Okay, yeah, because I remember he posted yesterday, they said that the other sources took longer to work through the stuff. So they got it on Vimeo because it was simpler and then get it out there. But if it's on iTunes, cool. But it's $4.99 to rent it on Vimeo, $3.99 to buy it. I rented it because I figure I'll just buy the Blu-ray when it comes out. I didn't want to own it on Vimeo, so we watched it though, and it was fun. We usually wouldn't do a rental that way. I don't do many digital rentals as much as I support legally obtaining things. That doesn't mean I pirate. I just go with Redbox or something else because $4.99 is just, I don't know. It seems like a lot to me, but definitely wanted to support the nerd, and everyone here wanted to see it as soon as we could.
Well, if you look at it that way, you've got 3 people that wanted to see it, so you divide that by the 5. You've got, basically like $1.25 a person.
Yeah, and if I sold tickets to everyone in the neighborhood, then we're talking about a profit probably. So
then you're talking about a crime.
Yeah, if you really want to slice it up. But at the end of the day, it's just $4.99 out of Patrick's pocket.
Yeah, and that's the thing.
There wasn't any dividing.
I'm definitely going to see it soon. It's something I want to check out. I've seen the trailers. I've seen the previews. It looks like a great film. Definitely want to see it. I didn't realize, like I said, I knew it was coming. I didn't realize it was already out. But I might wait and make sure that the iTunes version is released. I said that I know it's supposed to be there. But now, after what you said, I'm not at all sure that it is there. But if it's there, I will check it out there.
You know what? If you give me an hour, I'll go ahead and click iTunes on Windows now and let this open. And in an hour or so, I should know if it's on iTunes.
Yeah, let's see. I think I've actually got iTunes. See, that's like the weird thing about iTunes. iTunes on Mac is beautiful, you know?
Yeah.
It is gorgeous. It is efficient. It is relatively quick. And it's just a wonderful, wonderful, sweet, buttery apple goodness. On Windows, yes, it is an atrocious hot mess.
I mean, I don't want to say like it's the worst thing ever. It doesn't really crash for me or anything, but I mean, I just don't like using it, to be honest. If I'm being diplomatic, I just don't like using it, and I only use it to buy things.
I don't blame you.
I get in. It's like getting into a store you don't want to be at. I run in the door, I buy it, and I run out.
Yeah.
As soon as I can get that audio into another meetings like Winamp or something, I just get out of there. Yeah, there's nothing on. It doesn't look. There's nothing on iTunes yet, but that doesn't mean it's not coming soon. At least, well, you know what? Friggin', sorry, the iTunes search added extra characters. Let me see. Okay, no, I don't see anything.
Yeah, I don't see it here on my end either, but it will probably be pretty soon. And
Vimeo has players for a lot of different devices. You know, in addition to hooking up to your computer, they have. Let me see. Vimeo on demand, because I've never rented anything on Vimeo before. This was a first. And let's see. Here we go. They have Amazon Fire TV, Apple TV, Xbox 60, some Samsung TVs.
Apple TV, then it's over because that's all I need. But yeah.
Okay, yeah. If you have Apple TV, it's on Apple TV. It's on Roku. That's how we watched it. I have an old Roku.
I have an old Roku too, actually. So,
yeah.
I have options.
Yeah, you have options. They don't have a PlayStation app for some reason, but I would have used that probably. That would have been my default. But they have an Xbox 360, not an Xbox One, and yeah, it's an assortment of devices. So anyway, it was good. Check it out. Long story short, you get this from the trailers. It's all about the Atari 2600 game ET, and the nerds' efforts to fight it and embrace it, and all the emotions in between.
Yeah, and it's. I think James Rolfe, a.k.a. the Angry Video Game Nerd, the guy who plays the character, had a really interesting comment on it back when he was writing it, is that the idea behind it was kind of like, take what they did from the Wayne's World sketches on SNL to the movies. That same idea, right. Taking a sketch and then taking it outside of there and making it an adventure movie around it. It was that same idea, which sounds really, really cool.
Yeah, it was fun.
So I'm looking forward to it now that I know it's on Vimeo, and be worth a rent, I think. $4.99 on Vimeo, soon to appear on other platforms, I am sure. Well,
and he said that the Blu-ray will be out, Blu-ray DVD will be out November, December, so I'll probably buy that. That's, I want to buy it to support him, but I didn't want to, even though it's only $5 more on Vimeo, I was like, I'll just put that $5 worth of Blu-ray.
And the problem is when buying it from a platform, especially one like Vimeo, that, you know what I mean? It's like, do you really own it, or are you just buying permanent access to it?
Well, yeah, you're just buying permanent access to it.
and that's one of the problems with it. So for me, it's like if I own the Blu-ray or even the DVD, it's like I own this film. It is in my hands, mine, own it.
I guess I might be able to download and own it. I'm not really at the point where I like. I don't buy movies digitally. I just don't. I don't have a media server or whatever. I don't want to have it on my computer. I don't have a something in my media center that would allow me to save it, and I just don't like the idea of that. Part of me just likes having the disc. I don't know. Maybe I'm old-fashioned.
No, I don't. It's me too. I mean, I have it downstairs. I'm like, hey, it's on my. No, wait, that's the bookshelf. I have a huge DVD shelf downstairs filled with, especially the garbage horror stuff I did.
Yeah. I mean, it's not that anything doesn't go away or anything. It's not like I think they're going to disappear tomorrow. And I mean, maybe they let you download the video file itself so you can move it to whatever device you want. But even with Amazon, I haven't bought a single movie on Amazon. As much as I love and trust Amazon, and their DRM is fairly ubiquitous. But,
I have rented movies on Amazon.
Yeah, me too.
I've enjoyed that experience.
I mean, you know what we just watched, because I've been stacking up the so Amazon's been doing this thing recently for me where you can delay shipment on Prime and get $1 video credit.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I've been buying just single things. You know, one thing, get $1. One thing, get $1. One thing, get $1. So I've stacked up $8.
So wait a minute, we'll backtrack. So if I buy something through Amazon Prime, and I'm a Prime member like you,
Yep.
if I buy something on Prime and say, I don't need it in 2 days, go ahead and keep it for 3 to 5, whatever, I get $1.
Yeah, I mean, when they're running these promotions, and they have done it before, and they'll probably do it again. They may still be doing it now. And I don't know if it's on all items, but it's on every item I've been purchasing directly from Amazon, where I can say, okay, I have my Prime shipping, or I'll do 5 to 7 day, and they'll give me $1. And what happens is, all the items I bought, even though I got $1 for each one because I ordered them individually, they just send them all in one box. So it just saves them a little shipping, right? And so they give me $1. So I stacked up $8. It didn't take long, and we watched Boondock Saints 2 the other night because we've never seen that. And, you know, it's not on any streaming services. I don't know if it will be. It's one of those movies where they might put the first one on there, but they're not going to put the second. It's like kind of a teasing thing.
Yeah.
And we got that, and I still have $5 left. But the thing is, on Amazon, it doesn't, you know, digital rental, that's like one HD movie. You know, I mean, so it's not like Redbox. I'm too used to the Redbox world. Maybe I'm too cheap mentally, conditioned to be cheap or something. But I'm too used to going to Redbox, getting my Blu-ray for $1.50, okay, and bringing it. And for me, the convenience of Amazon, and it is convenient, the convenience of any service, iTunes, whatever, just isn't worth the extra $3 to $4.
I can understand.
Maybe I'm just a cheap bastard.
Maybe you are, and I would say you probably are to a degree, but you know what? I think you're kind of representative of a lot of people. And
yeah, I mean, if I could save a little money, I'll save a little money. But I have rented through Amazon thanks to the credits, and I have rented through Amazon in general before. I actually have bought like TV shows. An episode or two of TV shows that I missed when it's like $1.99 for an episode.
Yeah, and there have been a few times I've rented things, paid the $1.99, and I usually just do the standard def streaming because leave it to my internet access to mess up the high def streaming. You know,
right?
Probably gonna be standard def by the time it gets to me anyway, and also.
I feel like the TV shows are a lot more economical.
Really?
Than movies, when it comes to just general consumption. I bought a few TV shows. It was an actual option. I decided, you know, because you can buy an episode of 24 for $1.99 standard def. The new movies cost like $4.99 standard def. So if you look at it like that, I mean, I don't know. To me,
I don't buy new movies. I don't rent
Yeah.
new movies. That's one of my problems. Most of the stuff I rent's pretty old.
Amazon did have where you could rent Mrs. Doubtfire for 99 cents. So that was.
In honor of Robin Williams. That's cool.
Of course, yeah.
That's really cool.
I'm saying it is Mrs. Doubtfire. Okay.
Yes, you said it correctly.
Yeah, I was wondering, is she married? Is she not? Is she widowed? What's the deal? What's the proper title?
Robin Williams is pretending to be married or not. These are life's difficult questions answered on the Copyright 2.0 show.
Yeah.
This is why we can't. This is why you can't leave, Patrick. Who else is going to tackle these?
I don't know.
This is important.
Your new best friend.
I know. I'm going to have to find someone to tackle these very difficult questions.
All right. Well, you know what? We got 4 more minutes till the half-hour mark, and then we can get into copyright news.
We should probably do some copyright news at some point, since we've covered the podcast news
go ahead and
and
get started.
talked about Amazon and how Patrick's a cheap bastard for a while now. Well, big news this week came out of Washington, D.C. as the White House has appointed Danny Marty to be the what the quote-unquote IPs are now. Really, the copyrights are now. Really, it's the Intellectual Property Enforcement Coordinator position. It's a cabinet-level position that coordinates the enforcement of intellectual property across the various, law enforcement bodies, the FBI, the CIA, and I don't know who all is involved with it, honestly. I think it's mostly ICE and FBI is my understanding, but it's still coordinating the intellectual property enforcement efforts across federal law enforcement. And Daniel Marty is kind of a surprise pick, as nobody really knew too much about him before the nomination. You know what I mean? It caught a lot of people off guard. He is an attorney. I'm trying to see which law firm. It's Kilpatrick, Townsend, and Stockton.
And he has worked very heavily in copyright enforcement, including helping deal with the Expendables 3 leak. But not really the kind of huge name you expect to get this nomination. Kind of a weird pick in some ways. Yet everyone seems reasonably happy with him.
He's not one of the copyright superstars. Who would they be?
I don't know.
I just can't believe they passed you again.
Well, it's all right.
What's going on, man?
Well, I've got to say, the fact that, Mr. Marty here was picked actually does mean there might be a chance for me at some point, because he received his bachelor's in 1996 and his JD he got it from Emory in 1999. He's only really been in the legal field 15 years. I mean, I'm not saying that like it's nothing. I mean, I've only been, doing this whole copyright and plagiarism thing for 14, but I'm just saying it's still...
Yeah, I get it. He's relatively young in a business of old people.
Exactly. Well put, Patrick. This is why you're here.
Yeah.
Well put.
To dumb it down and offend the old people.
Damn, Patrick. Yeah, help save me from offending old people.
Yeah, I mean, but to be fair, Espino wasn't that old.
No, that's true. She wasn't that old. And it was also interesting because when Espinal was chosen, and Espinal's the one who stepped down, by the way. She stepped down in August. Not August. When was it she stepped down?
It was like August a year ago, wasn't it? There's an article about it. She's now the CEO of the business. What is it? The Business Software Alliance.
Yeah. Yeah. She stepped down last August 1 year ago, as you pointed out. So that position's been effectively vacant for over a year now, and there was some criticism over that, to be certain. But yeah, and as this article points out, there's also been a long-standing vacancy for the head of the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office as well, which is a bad office to have a vacant head on. But anyways, well, any office is bad, but
all offices are bad.
Right now, the Patent Office is under a lot of criticism and pressure, so it's kind of a weird time. It's not a smooth sailing time for the Patent and Trademark Office.
Was Espinal the first one in this role?
Yes, she was the first.
He'll be
the position was created under George W. Bush's tenure, but Obama appointed the first one. So the position was actually created under the previous presidency, though George W. Bush never got to appoint anyone or nominate anyone for it. But like I said, it seems like especially the copyright groups are very happy with it. They've got quotes from NBC Universal and the U.S. Chamber of Commerce here saying they're both very pleased. I've seen also commentary from MPAA, the Copyright Alliance, and other groups who are very, very happy. But even like people like the EFF and so forth were kind of like, well, we just hope he realizes the importance of consumer rights and balance and all this and that. And I think a lot of it stems from the fact that not a lot is known about him. Especially in terms of his political leanings. We know, because the work you do in a law firm does not necessarily represent your personal beliefs. So we don't really know how he personally feels on these issues.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's true. Charlie Manson's attorney doesn't necessarily share the views of Charlie Manson. So.
And that's so it's a situation where but then again, you would think that especially in civil law, he wouldn't necessarily go into an area of practice that he didn't approve of.
Right. I mean, some people start online communities where they don't have first-hand experience, and some attorneys go into fields where they don't necessarily have a strong passion. But you're right. I think you can you can choose your area of law, and there's probably different factors that go into that choice. One might be interested in it, another might be how much money's in it,
and also what job openings are available.
Yeah, what job openings, which career prospects you have in that field. The field of representing nonprofit sculptors might not be that strong, but general copyright and IP issues tends to be a fairly big business in this day and age, especially.
Indeed. So yeah,
that's one business, one of many businesses the internet has helped to grow.
And that's what, like I said, the deal with this is a very major choice. It's a very important nomination, but I don't really have much I can say about it because I know very little about the guy. There's not a lot of background, not a lot of information. So I guess that's kind of it.
Yep.
It's just they've appointed him. They filled the role. Now we move on. And we move on to talk about SiriusXM. And they've had what's being described here on the Hollywood Reporter as a pretty darn good week in their various legal battles over pre-1972 songs. Now, to recap briefly, sound recordings made before 1972, I think it was like February 15th, 1972 specifically, were not placed under federal copyright protection. They're covered underneath state law. And that, of course, creates a weird issue because every state's got different laws and blah, 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 blah. And long and short of it is SiriusXM has not been paying royalties for pre-1972 sound recordings. And they have been sued multiple times over this. And in the lawsuit against the record labels, the judge in the case has indicated that he is skeptical at the very least that this is a misappropriation issue, and sort of pave the way, and at least the idea that he is going to dismiss or scale back the claims against SiriusXM. So that could be very, very good news for them there.
Interesting. Yeah, I don't know what not too much to say here, but
yeah, I mean,
it's like we've talked about a few times. This is another story I will not see the end of. But it is kind of confusing, and yeah, I think it's going to be on to the courts and the government to kind of clarify how this works in this age.
And that's one of the whole issue. I'm sorry, I misspoke. I didn't mean he was going. I said that he was going to dismiss or scale back. No, these are dealing with jury instructions. I apologize. I'm getting my victories a little bit flippy-floppied here. But it deals with jury instructions. Now, according to the judge in the case, the reason for that is because the previous rulings that the record labels were citing didn't deal with digital rulings. They dealt specifically with analog recordings, which I'm not exactly sure how relevant that is. But he says that basically it's a snapshot of a snapshot of the civil code that could change with a new jury ruling in 2014. And the other one, by the way, is a lawsuit with Sound Exchange. They are a royalty collecting organization that have also sued. Their issue in their lawsuit, they have actually seen the judge kick the issue back to the Copyright Royalty Board, saying that they need clarification from the Copyright Royalty Board so they can move forward with their legal case, which is pretty much exactly what SiriusXM wanted. They wanted the case to be heard before the Copyright Royalty Board and not before these state judges, and that's where it's heading.
What does analog recording actually mean in this context? Because I'll be honest, just confess ignorance. That I don't even know what that means here.
I think in this case it would refer to tapes, record players, and even CDs, anything not purely digital.
Yeah, because I pulled up the Wikipedia page for analog recording. I'm not ashamed to admit that. Just to get a sense, an analog recording is a technique used for recording of analog signals, which, among many possibilities, analog audio and analog video for later playback. This recording method stores signals as a continuous signal in or on the media and may be stored as a physical texture on a phonographic record or a fluctuation in the field of strength of a magnetic recording. This is different from digital recording, which digital signatures are represented as discrete numbers. So, Anyway.
When I heard analog recording, my first thought was, tape deck or record, or I don't know. I guess it depends on how you feel about CD. I think CD is technically digital, but it's still it still feels like from the analog world to me, because it's not a bunch of numbers and ones being zeros and ones being transmitted over the internet.
Yeah.
It still feels analog to me. And most people will claim it sounds analog too, because now you can get audio recordings of a higher quality than CD. But I can't really ever tell you the difference. I know audiophile. I gotta admit it.
Yeah, me neither.
I'd be perfectly happy with my 36 kilobit per second and no. Okay, maybe.
I guess to me the thing is, if it applies in a copyright sense to the usage of audio, then format doesn't really I don't think format really matters all that much. It's just if the case is actually applicable to what's happening here, a third party using the audio, playing it for other people is, that can be applicable. It doesn't. I don't care if it's recorded on a rock. I mean, it's
on rock.
Yeah, I mean, it could be rock. Kiss album, the first one they put out was recorded on a rock, I think. I'm just kidding, because of how old they are.
It's not that old.
Yeah, I mean, I think they recorded it on the side of a cave wall. So I mean, I don't really care. Like, that doesn't matter. It's about the situations and if they actually are applicable, and that's what courts decide.
Yeah, and that's what we've been doing with copyright law for years now. Is when digital issues, in air quoting here, digital issues come up, judges, juries, etc., look for analog equivalents and make a ruling accordingly. Going back to the Aereo ruling, that's exactly what happened. The digital Aereo came up. Oh, well, let's think of the analog equivalent, a cable company. And then we drew our conclusions from that, and now we're still fighting over Aereo. Which takes us to the next story, which deals with Aereo itself, as they make their pitch to the judge to stay alive. Now, Aereo, of course, TV streaming service, over-the-air, they capture over-the-air broadcasts and signals on a bunch of tiny little antennas, one per customer, and they both live stream and offer like this DVR functionality to record and retransmit over-the-air broadcast television. And they were sued by a bunch of broadcasters. The broadcasters claimed it was a copyright infringement. This was a public performance. Aereo goes, no, look, one antenna per customer, totally private. The Supreme Court came down on them in June, and even though Aereo had won a bunch of lower court victories, sided with the broadcasters. Sided with them 6-3. Just a reminder, Devlin, 6-3, I got it right.
Oh yeah. Good job.
He's never going to forget that. I'm not.
I actually did forget it. It's a good thing you mentioned it because I don't even remember.
Yeah.
What's Aereo?
But anyways, so Aereo lost because the Supreme Court ruled it was operating like an unlicensed cable company and functioning very similarly to one, and therefore it was a copyright infringement. Now Aereo is going back to the appeals court, to the lower court, and saying, hey, guess what? We changed our strategy to the U.S. District Court of U.S. District Court for the Southern District of New York, because the Redundancy Department of Redundancy is apparently alive and working in U.S. court naming conventions. But they're going back to the district court and making the claim, hey, we're not. Since they said we're like a cable company, guess what? We have paid a license fee to the U.S. Copyright Office, which they have, that the Copyright Office has refused to accept it and is holding it, but we've paid a license fee, therefore we qualify for the statutory license under Section 111. And that's exactly what they're pitching to the district court. They tried this at the appeals court level, but it got bumped down to the district court level where we are now, so that's what's taking place, is they are battling it out now in the district court of the same idea of, is Aereo a cable company, and if so, is it enough of one, and is it a specific type of one that deserves to qualify for that statutory license?
Yeah, and I think they talk about also, and we've talked about this I think on a previous episode, where even if they can't do live TV, they feel like they should be able to still do time-shifted DVR-like functionality because of Cablevision, and I think that's interesting. I think, I don't know. I don't know. I've said this for a long time, but it seems like there's a way Aereo should be allowed to exist, and I think we have to. I don't know. It might be the company after Aereo, unfortunately, at this stage, because of how slow the gears churn of progress. But I don't necessarily. I don't know. I don't know why. I don't see why a web-based DVR can't work in this context if it is just for one person and it's their own space. I think various. I don't know. It just seems like it's forcing people to do it the old way, and eventually that's gonna fail.
Yeah. Well, the real question is, if DVR is allowed, the question becomes, well, how long do you have to wait before you view it? Is it a 30-second delay? Is it a 5-minute, 10-minute, 20-minute, 30-minute, 1 hour? I don't know. What's the legitimate delay? How far separated does the viewing from the live transmission have to be?
How long do Cablevision customers have to wait?
I don't know. Well, in Cablevision, they can watch it live because they're getting it from the cable company, and Cablevision's just handling the DVRing remotely.
Right.
So it's not really applicable in that case. And I think that may be one of the issues that comes up is they're going to say, but Cablevision is a license, they are licensed to retransmit.
Right, but you can buy a DVR and put it in your home and use it.
And that's exactly what TiVo's doing now. I don't know if you've seen this, but TiVo's got a new product where you use your antenna, your DVR, and it will feed their cloud system with your content that you can stream anywhere. And it's $15 a month, which I personally think is too high to attract the cord cutters. Because for $20-ish per month, you can probably get a low budget, cable plan.
Yeah, you might. I don't know. It's been a long time since I looked at cable plans, so you might know better than me. But if you look at it like an Aereo replacement, Aereo was $8 a month.
Mm-hmm.
$15 a month. I don't know. I have to look at the TiVo offering. It's interesting. How new is this?
This particular idea just came out, I think, last week.
Is it this TiVo Romeo thing?
It might be, yes.
It's on their homepage. That's why it's like the top thing. Romeo DVRs.
And for those who are playing along at home, it's Rome.io. Romeo.
Like Rome-like venture,
Yeah, venture.
Rome-like, yeah.
Yeah.
But I assume it's pronounced Romeo.
Yeah,
that makes too much sense.
I wasn't 100% sure you're right, but it's not like Romeo.
But
Romeo,
it's spelled
Romeo.
It's not spelled like Romeo, the name. It's spelled like Romeo, Rome, move, and IO. Anyway, the TiVo, they're selling for $199 for the bottom unit. Huh. That records 4 shows at once, stores up to 500 hours. Yeah, records up to 4 shows at once, stores up to 500 hours, compatible with HD antennas, works with your digital cable. Then they have models that scale up $399, $599. Basically, the difference is in the amount of shows at once and the number of hours. At least that's what it seems like, which you'd think the scale would be based on either the monthly fee, but it's not the monthly fee that you get charged for more data. It's like the first initial investment into the unit. It seems like it's what you get charged for. Like you said, it's a $14.99 a month fee with a 1-year commitment, $75 early termination fee. Interesting. Yeah, it is kind of close to, I guess, basic cable. I could see it. I could see it working if it really does work well. That's the key thing. You can watch it on any number of devices. If that's how it works, I definitely think there's a market out there. I think there's a market for Aereo, and maybe TiVo is just sitting back and watching that kind of develop, because they already sort of have a foothold in a similar market, not exactly the same, but similar. And so, they had the benefit of their own experience and then watching this whole story play out in front of them, where they can now launch a product. Isn't TiVo owned by somebody, or is TiVo still an independent company?
I have no idea.
Didn't they get bought out? I'm on their about page. What does their about page say? I thought they might have been bought out by someone, but I guess I might be wrong.
I really do not know.
I'm looking it up.
I've not followed the corporate history of TiVo, I must admit. This has not been on my to-do list.
Yeah, there's TiVo Inc. TiVo Inc. is a public company, and yeah, they're still their own company. Okay.
Okay, there you go. Well, TiVo, I still have one of those TiVo TV stuffed animals from South by a few years ago. I think you were there when we got it.
Okay, yeah, I don't have one of those. Must have not been at the same party.
It was actually just randomly on the street. It wasn't at a party.
That was probably just some an unlicensed good. I can't believe you picked it up. Just laying in the street.
No, someone handed it to me. A TiVo rep with a TiVo shirt came up and handed it to me. And then Calico chewed the antennas off. And then we had to throw it away. But no, we didn't throw it away. It's still here, but it's missing half of its stuffing. Anyway, so yeah, Aereo is now making its pitch to the lower core. Maybe they'll have better luck there. Okay. I guess what they're hoping. Well, this one is an interesting case. It's been a slow moving case, but it's Fox News versus a company called TV Eyes. Now, TV Eyes basically functions, well, kind of like Aereo. I mean, there's no duck in that one, is there? Especially when you put the two stories back to back, Jonathan. Good one.
Yeah.
But yeah, TV Eyes functions a lot like Aereo in that it captures specifically Fox News. At least I'm sure there are other channels, but primarily Fox News. And subscribers to TV Eyes, who pay about $500 a month, get access to their searchable, organized database so they can find shows, they can live stream what's going on, they can also look and get previous episodes and other information. And they can also make and download clips that they can in turn share and do commentary and other things on. It's apparently very popular with sites and organizations that are critical of Fox News, like Media Matters. Now, Fox News, as you might expect, has filed a lawsuit against TVI, saying that this is a copyright infringement. Not only are they suing for copyright infringement, but for hot news misappropriation, which, as we know, is the only copyright-like right that can be exerted over facts. Basically saying, hey, we spent a great deal of money on this reporting, here you are repeating these facts, very, very soon after we are getting the benefit of our effort, therefore it's hot news misappropriation. But TV Eyes is making the argument that they are like Google Book Search. They are scanning in the entirety of Fox News, indexing it, and making it available to others. And I think that's stretching the. It's a very stretched comparison, in my personal opinion.
Yeah, and I think it's easy to read the story and immediately think copyright infringement, but I think there's some nuances here. I'm not saying that it's not, but I'm just saying there's some nuances here in how this works. Like this isn't just like it doesn't appear to be just some random service somebody set up, right? I mean, this appears to be a pretty successful media monitoring service. This article by Eric Gardner lists clients like the Department of Defense, the United Nations, the New York Times, Time Warner Cable, and professional sports leagues. That's the customers that are paying to access these clips in the service. I think, and you have to remember, it's $500 a month. So when Fox News,
for cable, basically.
Yeah, well, when Fox News, for example, says that it's a replacement for their service. I'm looking for the exact quote, but there's basically like an implication of that. It's not really, because it's a whole different market. Like no average Joe's going to pay $500 a month. No one who gets cable access at home is going to replace that with a $500 TVI subscription. It's just not reasonable. They do have a reasonable argument that it doesn't count for ratings and they're not licensing it, et cetera, and I get that. And they appear at least to be licensing from other parties. That's mentioned in this article briefly, that they're licensing content from other people. Again, looking for the exact quote. I don't know where it is, but I read it. There you go. TVI has entered into license agreements with other content owners with specific names blacked out in the document that Fox News provided in their own summary judgment motion. So yeah, I mean, there's a few things here that make me question it, but again, I think this service is a niche service. It serves it's a service. It provides something of value, I want to say, to news gathering, to reporting, to the greater good here. That doesn't mean it has the right to exist. I think that it makes sense for there to be licensing agreements. What caught my eye was mainly the part about it being live streamed. I'm sorry, say again?
We come home. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, it being live streamed, at the time it's airing, not just them packaging clips. That was kind of interesting to me. I was surprised they were doing that, because I'm not sure. I don't know what the need for that is exactly. I mean, I guess people might want to watch Fox News in their TVI's app, but it just seems kind of odd that that's necessary to provide that service for a media monitoring company. I could be wrong. I don't need these services. I don't use these services. On the flip side, though, I do wonder, and here's a question I'll put out there. Given that TVI does provide value, or it's debatable if they do provide value, but I think they do. If Fox News simply declines to license and they take out Fox News, how do members of the media and organizations like this, like government organizations, how should they go about getting clips from Fox News? Will Fox News just stonewall them?
They do license to other clipping services, so there are apparently other clipping services out there that do have access to Fox News.
Okay.
And that's one of the areas that irreparable harm they point to, is that we do have legitimate clipping services that that pay us for a license. So that's one possibility. I'm glad, though, you mentioned the live stream element, because that, to me, is where we sort of leave behind the Google Book Search analogy. Because Google Book Search only, for copyrighted works, only makes available short snippets. It is possible to just watch all of Fox News through TV Eyes, apparently. And
yeah, I mean, it's currently possible to watch it live, and I don't know how it's all clipped up, but yeah, it seems that way.
And I don't really know if that's something that, like I said, given the price point, I don't think it's practical. I don't think any sane person would do it. But at least it's theoretically possible. And it's kind of an unusual decision, as you pointed out, because I'm not really sure what benefit that provides a clipping service.
Right, because
their home turf is analyzing what's being said, finding the mentions of company or whatever, and then there's your clip of it. That's what they specialize in.
Yeah, I mean, you look at a clipping service like you look at, it's like Google for newspapers or TV shows. You know, when you are a brand and you use Google Alerts to find mentions of your brand, this is the same kind of thing, just in things that, you know, aren't online or aren't indexed in such an easy way. I mean, the service, it actually takes someone watching it, transcribing it, keywording it, you know, indexing it to get all the brand mentions, all the themes, everything together. So that's why there's, you know, several apparently organizations that do this, because it is a real market.
Yeah, it's a very real market, especially like PR firms use it very heavily to track how their campaigns are going. It's a very, very common service.
And $500 a month is like a pretty good deal, honestly.
Yeah, it does. I agree. I agree completely. That seemed cheap. To be honest.
I mean, if you ran a big copyright, let's say, you know, plagiarism today and copyright, you know, you're this huge firm with all these employees, you'd pay that a drop in the bucket to monitor copyright news on TV, probably. I mean, that's not that. If you really wanted to know about it and the stories that are coming out, that's really not. It's a pretty affordable price point for, you know, a lot of companies, a lot of organizations.
Yeah, for especially larger, even medium-sized ones. $500 probably isn't that much.
Now, the question is, does Fox News produce programming knowing that people will react to it and pay for these services, hence they license the clips to the services? Is that part of the Fox News business model? That's the question. I'm just kidding.
I don't know. I don't think they do that on purpose.
Like, I think they'll go crazy about this on the clipping services. No.
I don't think that's quite the business model. I still think the traditional advertising model is a little more relevant.
It is.
Well, shifting our focus overseas now, looking at Australia, something of a, I guess you would call it a turn of events here, as the Communications Alliance, an organization that represents the major telecoms in Australia, including Telstra, Optus, iiNet, Vodafone, and others, have posted their comments to some proposed copyright legislation in the country, and in that have said that they are willing and to at least negotiate both a graduated response, aka a three-strike system to punish file shares, and also site blocking techniques, which are two things they have fought very, very strongly against until, well, now. So, yeah, this is a potentially huge turn of events, especially if this actually comes to pass. They did, however, caution that with graduated response that there's no evidence in their view that it works, but a lot of evidence they say that it doesn't. And with site blocking, they did express some concern about innocent bystanders being blocked, but they did admit that could be a more effective approach. So, yeah, some signs of willing to cooperate from ISPs in Australia, a first that I can recall.
Yeah, it does seem rather positive. I mean, not my usage of that word is positive if you want site blocking. It does seem pretty unanimously positive. At least this article, the perspective it gives is that ISPs aren't really against it. They're just they're for it. The only question is who's going to pay for the related efforts.
Yeah, and that's part of the negotiation. I remember iiNet fought a very pitched legal battle over them not wanting to deny access to suspected file sharers. So they actually had, gone to court over this in the past, And here they are as part of this petition saying, hey, we're willing to negotiate it, we just have our terms, and this is what we need.
Yeah.
It's a very different tone, and it seems to have come out of nowhere, honestly.
Yeah.
Well, while we stay in that region, New Zealand, Kim.com has lost his effort to keep his financial assets secret from the major movie studios. Now, the saga of Kim.com obviously is lengthy, but the crux of it is January 2012, he was arrested and his then site Mega Upload was shuttered. Ever since then, he has been fighting his extradition to the United States. That hearing is due to happen early next year. I think February of next year might finally have that hearing. So more than 3 years after his arrest, we might finally know if he's going to be extradited to the United States or not. But in the meantime, the movie studios have filed a lawsuit against him, and they've asked him to disclose all of his assets, because even though about 11 million million dollars Australian have been frozen, they believe that there is a significant amount more that is not, and proof of that is the fact he's been funding the Internet Party, which is a political party in Australia, and also that he offered a $5 million bounty for anyone that could prove any kind of misdoing or unethical behavior by the Department of Justice in the United States or by authorities in New Zealand. By the way, no one seems to have collected that bounty, just noting.
No.
Nope, I haven't heard anyone doing it. And I've got to say, if I had the news and I had information and I had reason to believe I could collect $5 million, I'd probably take the risk. But yeah, so they believe that he has not disclosed all of his assets. Kim.com fought for that pitch to try to get them to force him to disclose it. However, he has now lost that bid, as they have said it will not provide any undue strain to him, and it does not actually hurt him in any meaningful way to have his assets disclosed to the movie studios.
Yeah.
And it seems like a fair ruling, honestly, because it doesn't really impact him if he has I'm not saying they're going to freeze more of his assets, just that he has to disclose and show what he has if he's capable of paying the potentially high damages.
Now, when you talk about potential damages, though, Now, I've kind of glazed over this case by now because I've heard his name so many times that I'll just be honest and say I've fallen asleep and forget everything. What is the status for maybe just people listening are in this boat too? What's the status of the case with the movie studios?
That case is technically the actual case is on criminal investigation.
Yeah, it's on hold for the criminal investigation. So, but they haven't won anything. Correct?
No, they have not.
So there are no
anything.
damages yet.
No, no damages yet. Just potential damages.
Now, is that a normal thing? Because it seems kind of invasive to me. Before you are actually ordered to pay anything, that people need to know your assets. Is that a normal occurrence?
It actually is. If the judge believes there is a reasonable chance that you could lose the case, and reasonable chance doesn't even mean that it's likely, just that it could happen. You know what I mean?
Doesn't that encourage companies to change the damage amount based upon the money you have? So, example, if their damages are $10 million, then they know you have 100, they'll ask for 50. Doesn't that encourage that sort of abuse?
Well, hopefully, you would have some idea or the amount of money they have beforehand. There are private investigators and so forth that do that.
Right.
The fear here has less to do with how much he has, because the reality of it is the damages go up to $100 million, and this is estimated claiming more than $100 million. So they're already claiming way more than Kim.com has, period. They're not adjusting their damages. They're not going to go, the ceiling's not going higher. I'm pretty sure of that. But the fear is that he is finding ways to divest or to get rid of assets ahead of this potential judgment. And that's what they're wanting to stop. And they're trying to see if there are any other sizable assets they need to petition to have frozen while we wait for this case to move forward. So it's a little bit unusual, and I think one of the reasons it's taking place here is because of the pause on the case. They don't want anything to happen to those assets between now and when the case actually is heard.
Right.
There could be a lot of time there. But in common, if there's some reason to believe that you could divest or get rid of assets, that you should have to disclose everything before anything's happened. It's not entirely unheard of.
Okay, cool. Thanks.
And finally, this week, bringing it back home, Jay-Z, Kanye West, and Frank Ocean are all facing a lawsuit for copyright infringement. And basically, this is Joel McDonald, who is claiming the trio lifted the Jay-Z song the Jay-Z and Kanye West song is from the Watch the Throne album. Apparently, I was unaware. This is showing my ignorance, but a very, very popular album in 2011.
Mm-hmm.
The song involved is "The Joy" from that album. And
no,
Joel
it's
McDonald
made in America.
says it's based upon. I'm sorry. The song is made in America. It's both the Joel McDonald one and the Jay-Z one named Made in America. So there you go.
Yep. Now tell me you listen to the song, right? I mean, I know you don't have hours of the day, but you can go on to Spotify and type Made in America. Tell me you listen to it.
Yeah, I've listened to it once. I checked it out.
So you listened to it. I mean, did you listen to it for this story, I mean?
Yeah. That's the only
the
reason
Jay-Z and Kanye West one.
Yeah. I didn't hear much.
Slow your roll there. Slow your roll there, Judgment Jones.
Oh.
I'm just kidding. No. So I'm just curious because I thought that was why you put the story here. Is because you listened to it. This is why you put the story at the end. Typically, a spot where you put stories that are a little funny or a little off key.
Dicey and yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I personally did not hear the similarity. I did not hear a strong one.
No, because there are no similarities. I mean, that's the thing. I mean, he sings "Made in America" and he mentions Martin Luther King "Made in America," and they mention and Frank Ocean sings in the song, about Martin and "Made in America." But there's nothing there.
I don't even remember that, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean that's the only similarity really is a mention of. Yeah, I mean a mention of Martin and a mention of Malcolm. I think that's kind of the only similarity in the words "Made in America." So it just kind of reeks of a. An after the facts to just kind of grab a few bucks, and because the songs don't really sound like anything similar to each other. So.
Yeah, that was what I was trying to listen to, was the sound and the things I could pick up very quickly and easily. I didn't hear anything that similar. It sounded like two very different songs to me.
Yeah, there are.
I'm not a music plagiarism expert. That is outside my field of purview. Yeah. I always pass those cases off to people who know more, but my point remains, I did not hear any extreme similarities.
Yeah, I mean, I liked the album Watch the Throne. This song was one of my, not one of my favorite songs from the album. It didn't make my playlist. The song I listened to again and again, but still, I was familiar enough with it to listen to this, and it's not there. There's no way they were inspired by this, and if by some odd chance they were, their inspiration didn't turn into anything that resembled.
It sounds like what he's suing over is the idea of the title and talking about these civil rights leaders, which that's an idea. I repeat my previous statement, the idea of it, and that's ideas aren't copyrightable.
Yeah, I mean, and it was just to show you what I mean here, real quick. Let me play this old Mac Made in America song, because I think it's literally the first line is about Martin Luther King. Let's get to the point here. Come on. Okay, so basically he says, like, Martin Luther King made in America, okay? So Frank Ocean in Made in America says, "Sweet King Martin, sweet Queen Coretta, sweet Brother Malcolm, sweet Queen Betty, sweet Mother Mary, sweet Father Joseph, sweet Jesus, we made it in America." Okay, so that's what I'm talking about. Like, it mentions Martin, which is a reference to Martin Luther King, and then this guy in his song saying, "Martin Luther King made in America." That's no similarity. Like, there's not even a story. And then he says, "Soccer moms made in America." I mean, there's no story about the civil rights leaders. It's just, these are people, these are things, they were made in America. That's so that's the Joel Mack song, and it doesn't really, like I said, it doesn't really jive.
And then that was the vibe I got off of it too. Was that,
because I actually listened to the whole Joel Mack song.
I didn't pick, and see, you obviously are more familiar with the songs. I didn't even pick up the Martin Luther King thing, to be honest. It must have blown completely by me.
Right, because it's not really a thing, honestly, all that much. I mean, if saying Martin Luther King made in America, and saying "Sweet King Martin, Sweet King Queen Coretta, blah blah blah. We made it in America." That's nothing. It's not a thing. There's nothing to pick up on. So I mean, I think
I'm not crazy then. I'm not being totally daft here. I'm just. No, it's like I listened to it. I didn't feel the similarities. I didn't get any weird feeling at all. We talk about the bad feeling. I didn't get any feeling. I got nothing.
Yeah, I mean, there's really nothing there. I mean, the Kanye West Jay-Z song is a song that talks about, Black history and civil rights topics or relevant topics. The Joel Mack song is just a bunch of random things, and then Made in America is sung after them.
Yeah, and that doesn't help either.
I'm sure they have a meaning to him. I'm not trying to be offensive. I'm sure they have a meaning to him, and there's a context there, some sort of story, I'm sure. But it's like Desert Storm, Made in America, the Soccer Mom, Made in America. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, and that's my take on it. I didn't see any similarity,
that's
thematically, stylistically, or otherwise.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yep.
That's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Okay.
Well, Patrick, I'm out of copyright news. You got anything else you want to discuss?
No, I think that's everything.
Well, on that note, everyone, my name is Jonathan Bailey. I am from the site Plagiarism Today, which can be found at plagiarismtoday.com. You can find me at Facebook, LinkedIn, Google+, and anywhere else you so desire as username Plagiarism Today.
And I'm Patrick O'Keefe. I blog at managingcommunities.com. You can find me on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and Google+ as Patrick O'Keefe.
On that note, everyone, thank you very much for joining us, and Patrick and I will see you next week for Patrick's final episode on the Copyright 2.0 show. Hope to see you then. Come join us in the chat.